So this is the app in the App Store. If you type in Speedometer X, it's the second result to come up, and it's free. So it just gives you a description, and it has 4.6 stars out of 5, and we'll compare our rating to that at the end. And this app's primary purpose is to measure the speed that you're going, so it tracks the speed that your phone is moving and displays that, as you can see at the top where it says miles per hour and then the value. But in total, it actually tracks 5 different measurements. So besides your miles per hour, it also tracks your average speed that your phone reached during the time interval that you were using the app, and then also the distance traveled during the same time interval, and that's measured in miles, and then also your maximum speed that you reached during this time interval, and then also the direction that your phone is facing and the direction that you're traveling in north, south, east, and west. And then you also have a reset button in the top right-hand corner, which if you click will ask you if you're sure that you want to reset all the values on the page, and if you say yes, it should reset all of these values to 0 so that you can start again and do a new measurement. So it basically just resets the time interval and all the values to be 0, so once I start to move my phone around again, the values will increase. And then if you click the 3 lines in the top left-hand corner, it takes you to some more settings that you can change. This app does come with ads. So for example, in order to change the main value, which is the largest value displayed on the page, which in my case was the speed, if you try to change those to, for example, be your maximum speed, you have to either buy premium and pay these prices to change that value, or watch an ad and continue for free. And so this is the case with a lot of these. For background mode, it's the same thing. And then for your thicker font display and your decimal display and your appearance, your appearance you can change without ads. So if I change it to light, no, you can't. Yeah, and that's basically it.
So to perform experiments on this app, we decided to take my car and drive it out of the driveway and down the block to test both the speed feature, the max speed feature, the distance feature. On the app, it said that our distance from the driveway to the end of the block was 0.08 miles, which is about 422 feet. And when we checked that with Google Maps said 440 feet. So it was pretty accurate, but not exact, and it got it within 20 feet. And then the max speed feature we also tested, and the app said 21 was the max speed that my car reached, and the car said that the max speed was 21. So max speed was correct. But then when we graphed the speed that the car said versus what the app said the speed was, on a graph with time as the x-axis and speed as the y-axis, we found that the app's speed did not update with the same speed that the car's speed updated. So the car would start moving faster, but the app would only catch it about a second or two later. So you can see that on the graph where the red peak is the app speed, and it's moved over a little bit to the right from the blue speed, which is the actual speed of the car. In our experiment, we used the car's speedometer as our control speedometer, assuming that it was the most accurate to what the car's speed actually was. So the car speedometer works using a magnet and a drive shaft, or a magnet and a speedometer cable that's connected to this drive shaft. So when the wheels spin from the engine, what happens is the drive shaft turns, and that turns the speedometer cable, and the cable spins a magnet around the same speed inside of a speed cup, and the magnet rotates continually in the same direction, and the spinning magnet creates eddy currents in the speed cup, and the eddy currents make the speed cup rotate, as well as attempt to catch up with the magnet, and this hairspring tightens and it restrains the speed cup so it can only turn a little way. And then as the speed cup turns, it turns the pointer on the dial indicating the car's speed. So my car did not have an actual dial, but it just translated that dial turning into a digital number.
So the speedometer app obviously can't use the same techniques that a car uses to measure its velocity. So this is the system that we think the speedometer app uses to calculate its velocity, and that is primarily by using GPS systems to constantly track the phone's location, and the app just uses the phone's built-in GPS receiver to do this. So the GPS satellites transmit signals that the phone receives at certain intervals, which is usually every second. So there's position tracking every time interval. And then basically the app just calculates the rate of change of position to calculate the velocity. To further analyze the accuracy of the app for determining the car's velocity, we decided to compare the average speed calculated for the car during the time interval we spent driving and the average speed that the app calculated. So we did this by just observing the video footage that we took and making a table of all the velocity values for each second for the car and the app separately. And the average speed that we calculated for the car was 7.8 miles per hour, and the average speed that we calculated for the app was 7.3 miles per hour. And this value is not very significant, so it does show that the app was pretty accurate in comparing to the car's velocity calculation, but this value would probably be less significant at higher velocities and constant speeds. Like, for example, if we had been driving on the highway, the difference probably wouldn't have been that significant, and we probably wouldn't have seen the time lag between the app and the car. So as we talked about for the graph, there was a slight shift to the right for the curve for the app. But since we were driving on residential streets, the speed limit was low and we often made a lot of turns, so that kept our average speed low and also changed our speed quite often. So there were a lot of peaks and dips in our speed, which the app had a hard time keeping up with. So in other words, we did not get to a constant fast speed, which speedometer apps are usually better at calculating, and that's from reviews and other research on the internet.
So now we want to talk about the pros and cons that we saw with this app. So one pro is that it pretty accurately got the speed when we were going at a stable pace. Like when I was just driving at a stable 20 miles per hour down the street, it got it pretty well. And when we hit 21 as our stable speed down the street, it was getting that really consistently. Another pro is that it could accurately track the amount of distance traveled. So when we tested it with how much distance we had traveled when we were driving, it got it within 20 feet of how far we actually drove. So we were thinking one pro of this app is that if parents wanted to use it to track how far you've gone to make you pay for gas if you use their car or something, then that would be one pro of this app. Another pro is that it got the correct max speed that the car was going. So when I was driving, I hit a max of 21 miles per hour, and the app said that I also got 21 miles per hour. So it got that accurately, and we were thinking this would be good if the cops pulled you over, then you could show them exactly how fast your max speed was. You could pull out your Speedometer X app and show them, and probably wouldn't hold up in a court of law, and definitely won't work if you were actually speeding because it would get the actual speed that you were going, but it was correct. So another pro is that it's free to use most features, and it's very simple to set up. But a con is that it was not good for the lower speeds like we talked about, and there were so many ads. I'm going to play a clip right now of me opening up the app and seeing an ad, and then opening up some features and trying to just play with the app, and I got 2 ads in the I think it's a 50-second clip, and they're both 5-minute or 5-second ads. So there were lots of ads, which means that you cannot use it by yourself when you're driving because you would have to click off the ads, which is very dangerous. And there are paid features that you can't use unless you pay, like Sophie talked about, which is a major con here when you're just trying to use it when you're driving. And also there's the slow on updating time, so it's like maybe not that useful if you need precise measurements at like specific time intervals, but it's good for a general idea of the velocity. And if you wanted to do some sort of acceleration, like calculate the acceleration of your car sort of thing, then you could definitely use that app to help you out with that. And it also, another con, it thinks that you're going 2 miles per hour when you're shaking your phone up and down. Not necessarily a con, but maybe could be evidence of like it might get some stuff wrong occasionally. So if we were to give this app a rating out of 5 stars, we would say that it like depends on what you're trying to use it for. If you're just trying to use it for like general get the max speed or distance traveled, then it's a 4 out of 5 stars just because of the ads. But if you're trying to use it like by yourself, it's a 3 out of 5 stars because you can't use it due to the ads. So thanks for watching.